Okay, so how's it? My name is Manu. I'm working Kobashigawa. Um, this is my final presentation for Biology 455, and my presentation is about native trees of Hawaii and their threats. So Hawaii, the main Hawaiian islands, they're roughly located around 21 degrees north and 155 degrees west. We're located in the Pacific Ocean, and in this picture, you can kind of see that like Hawaii is roughly or like thousands of miles away from like any continental landmass. So this kind of makes us an isolated area. With this isolation, when species get here, they tend to speciate and form endemic species that are only found here. So some examples is like the Naupakakuihiwi, or like the kokio, or even the haha. All of these pictures, they've been taken like on Oahu Island. Some even like hardwood species have been speciated here, I guess. So like right here, we have the mehamehame, or even this species of kawila. These two are some of our critically endangered species, actually. This one is federally listed as critically endangered. I think this one is just listed as endangered, but the mehamehame, there's roughly only about 40 species left. So yeah, both of these are pretty critically endangered. It is good because, or it is good that these species are actually also being protected. These pictures were both taken on top of Awahi Forest Reserve on Maui. You can see there's fencing here. They're trying to protect these species. So some of the trees that I want to talk about in this presentation that I'm going to talk about is Wiliwili, Naio, and Ohia. I'm also going to be talking about these threats that are facing them or present to them, the Erythrina Gall wasp, Naio thrips, and rapid Ohia there. So the first tree is Wiliwili. It's part of the Erythrina species, or it's Erythrina sandwichensis, and it's part of the Fabaceae family. There's a picture of Wiliwili and a picture of its flowers. As a Fabaceae, it's a nitrogen-fixing plant, which is good because it is able to take nitrogen, which is kind of a limited species or a limited nutrient, and make it more readily available to the surrounding environment or surrounding plants. And so yeah, this is good. It's a deciduous tree, and generally you'll see this tree grow 20 to 30 feet tall. Some uses for Wiliwili. The wood was used for surfboards and floats or amas of the canoe, and the seeds could also be used as lei. So here I have a picture of a surfboard. This is generally the style that you would kind of see old Hawaiians use. Flat at the bottom, kind of tapers up, tapers back down to a round nose. And Wiliwili, the wood was used to be made into surfboards. There's three types, the alaya, the kiko'o, and olo. You generally see them being used. The alaya is about 6 to 9 feet in length, while the kiko'o and olo is about 9 to 16-ish feet in length. The main difference between the two kiko'o and olo is that the kiko'o is just a little bit more thin than the olo. Sometimes people don't really consider this just because of how closely related they are, but yeah. This wood is actually a very light and buoyant wood. So it is one of the most like prime choices of wood to use for surfboards because you need it to float. Since it's also the most prime choice, you would only really see chiefs using this wood for surfboards just because, one, it is actually kind of hard to get Wiliwili to grow long enough, as you can see going back to this picture. to grow tall enough to even make a surfboard, or even thick enough to grow. So when there was surfboards made out of Wiliwili, really only the chiefs had it. Wiliwili, the wood, was also used as the float or ama of canoes. So here I have a diagram of the canoe and even a picture of it. Right here would be the main part that Wiliwili, the wood, would be used for. Its buoyancy also helped with it, even though like koa, which is usually used as this part, was used and it does float, but it was more so used just because of its tannins. It's very water resistant, whereas Willy or Willy Willy is very buoyant, so it would be mainly used for this part. Yeah, here's a painting of it. And leis. The seeds of Willy Willy would actually be used as leis or inlays. There's a picture of the seed pods and even the seeds inside. You would take this, polish it up, and kind of like string it up so you can make a lei. It looks similar to this. So it's threats. The threat, although it's not the only one, the one that I am going to talk about is the Erythrina Gall wasp. So the Erythrina Gall wasp is, the scientific name is Quadrasticus erythrinae. It's a parasitoid wasp. So what that means is that it will lay its eggs inside of other species. Generally, you see this wasp being 1 millimeter to 1.6 millimeters. Usually the males is close to this size in length, and the females is more towards this size in length. Here's a picture of both the male and female. Usually they're dark brown with some yellow coloring, especially in the female, and the males is kind of similar. You got your brown, but it's more pale. Being under 2 millimeters, these insects are tiny. So here's kind of like a point of reference. I have the male and female laying on top of a penny. Usually you won't see this insect or this wasp. You already see the effects that it has on like plants. And what it does is that the Erythrina Gall wasp will lay eggs in Erythrina species, so the Wiliwili, or even coral trees. They'll lay their eggs in, what is it called? New leaves, the petioles, the stems, the flowers, you know, stuff like that, seed pods even. And from there, larvae will hatch and start feeding on the surrounding tissue, causing deformation and swelling, which ultimately causes galls. So what galls is it is this. It's kind of like an abnormal growth. This is a picture of severe infestation of a new leaf. You can see like this doesn't even look like a leaf anymore. It just kind of looks, it's just filled with galls. Here's another picture of an Erythrina species also being infected by the Erythrina Gall wasp. Severe infestation has actually led to like the killing of mature plants, even established plants. So what is Hawaii doing about it? Hawaii, there is some management of the Erythrina Gall wasp. Around 2008, the state of Hawaii has actually like okayed the release of a biocontrol, namely the Erythroma erythrinae, which is this species. Post-release, there has been substantial suppression of damage being done and actually an improvement of overall tree health. But this isn't on its way to eradicate the Erythrina gall wasp. There is still an increase of Wiliwili trees being infected and actually being damaged by the Erythrina gall wasp. So we still need some type of additional management. There is the potential use of biocontrol, or of the biocontrol of Prostocetus nitens. I don't have a picture of it right now, but it's similar to Erythroma erythrinae, where it is a predator of the Erythrina gall wasp. It's potentially able to be used because it is found in the same environment as Eurotoma erythrinae, and it does prey on Erythrina gall wasp. But as of right now, there's no real studies being published about the use of this Prostocetus nitens as a biocontrol. On to the next tree, Naio. So Naio, scientific name is Myoporum sandwichense. It is part of the Myoporaceae family. Here I have a picture of a Naio, and even close-up of its leaves and flowers and seeds. Usually this tree will grow about 25 feet tall in, like, your landscape areas, all that kind of stuff. In the wild and higher elevation, it's been found to grow up to 45 feet tall. This tree is usually found in different ecosystems. So like you'll find it in dry forests, lowland, upland shrublands, and even mesic and wet forest habitats. In the dry forest ecosystems, you usually see this tree as a dominant component in the canopy. So it helps protect like the lower levels of the forest structure from like extreme environmental elements, all that kind. Some cultural value. So Naio was used in houseboats, the Manu portion of canoes, and netting needles and shuttles. The houseboats, although this isn't the only tree that was used as houseboats, this is one of them. So usually you kind of see Naio being used as this part of a house or when building houses. Even right here is a diagram, pictures of it. This is one of the uses of Naio. Naio is also used in the Manu portion of a canoe. So here I have the same picture from earlier, but now I'll focus on this part, the Manu. Usually, or like back in the day, you would kind of see canoes. Yeah, they were made out of koa, but the top part was made out of Naio. It was a yellow wood, and even in this painting, you can kind of, like, it accurately depicts it. That this part is one color, and the top part is Naio, they're yellow. The Manu right here. This is another use of Naio, or what it was used for. Naio was also used for netting needles or shuttles. So here's some examples of the netting needle and the shuttle. Here's a picture of what Naio, the wood, looks like, actually. These would be used to kind of, to make your nets. As you can see right here, you have some cordage still attached to the netting needle. And this would be like your source of cordage while you're going through your net, your makas, or your pies. Yeah. So the threat posed to Naio. Naio thrips. This is another small insect, as you can see. This is, the scientific name is Chlambothrips myopori. It is roughly 2 millimeters to 2.5 millimeters in length. This species is most likely originated from Tasmania and can be dispersed by wind or even humans. So what does it do? Naio thrips, they will scratch at the leaves and feed on the sap of Naio. And from there, the leaves will thicken, curl, and form galls. And the thrips will lay the eggs in their in the galls. So here's some pictures. Many instances, the galls that have formed, they result in like the death of meristem, or the new growth of this tree of Naio. From there, this can also lead to the death of this plant. There's some pictures, examples of the galling being done. Management of Naio thrips. As of right now, there's no biocontrol or pesticides being used, but there is research being done to find an effective management of this pest. For the most part, what I can tell you is, or advise you, I guess, to do, is to avoid moving Naio inner island, because currently Naio thrips is only present on Oahu and Big Island. We do want to try and avoid the spread of this plant, so try to avoid moving Naio. Even some people even say try to avoid planting Naio for the moment, just because we don't want to foster the population of Naio thrips. Planting Naio would give Naio thrips habitat to live and even food to reproduce. And these are the main management, I guess, tips that I can tell you to do right now. And the last tree I'm going to go over is Ohia lehua. So Ohia lehua, its scientific name is Metrosideris polymorpha. It's part of the Myrtaceae family and can grow over 50 feet tall. Here's a picture of it, a close-up of its flower, or one version of its flower. So Ohia is a keystone species, which is usually like a signifier of the health of a forest. Usually in native ecosystems, if this tree is doing well, the rest of the species is also doing well. It's one of the most common native species that you'll see. It's present in a lot of ecosystems. You can find it in bogs, wet forests, lava fields, and even cool, dry forests. What also makes this species important is that it's one of the first trees to colonize lava fields. And it's even pictured in right here. So what this does is that Ohia is able to transform lava fields or lava flats into habitable areas for other plants to come and grow. Some cultural values of Ohia. Ohia was used as house posts, ki'is, and it was also seen as the kinolau of many gods and goddesses. So house posts. Same thing like how the Naio. There's many different woods that was used for house posts, but this is one example. Ohia could be used as house posts. Usually it would be this part, these parts. It's also been seen to be used in Luakinis, which generally Luakinis were war temples, I guess. It was also used for other things, but it's more widely known as the war temple. Here's a picture of a Luakini. Ohia was also used to carve ki'i. People will call it tiki, but it is named ki'i. Ki'i kind of means to capture or to grab. And so these implements were kind of thought to, capture gods, and gods would live in them. And it's ki'i. Ohia was also used for akua ka'ais, which is similar to ki'i, but it's smaller and more handheld and also more transportable. These would kind of be for your, smaller deities or that kind of stuff. As you can see, like over here, this is a version of ku. It's more used in like bigger examples of ki'i, whereas akua ka'ai is more smaller versions, the lesser deities. So you would see even like ku'ula, a type of ku, being formed or being carved into an akua ka'ai. Ohia lehua is also seen as the kinolau of different gods and goddesses. Some examples is Kuka Ohia Laka, which is a god of hula. It's also seen as Ku, one of the major male gods of the four major male gods, and a kinolau of Pele. It's kind of seen as those last two specifically because of how Ohia is the first to colonize lava fields. It's the first one to stand from the lava fields. So like what ku is to stand. It's also a kinolau of Pele because Pele is lava. And the first tree that's popping out of that lava field is the Ohia lehua. The threat posed to Ohia lehua. what I'm going to talk about is rapid ohia death, or ROD. So ROD is actually a fungus, and there's two species that's associated with ROD. Ceratocystis leucoohea and Ceratocystis huliohea. Here's a picture of both of them, leucoohea and huliohea. This scale bar down here is about 50 micrometers. And so just to kind of like give you a scale of what it looks, or the size of this fungus. So rapid ohia death, or ROD. Both of these fungus, what they do is they'll first kind of like brown the foliage of the tree and then stop the transport of water and sugar. And so it's kind of seen in here. ROD will tend to discolor and cause like these black splotches right here, and even discolor the outer part of the wood. These are generally the symptoms that you'll see when a tree is infected. You'll also see just quick dying of a whole branch of a tree. You can see here, and even right here. So management of ROD. As of right now, there is no real like fungicide or management techniques like that being used. The main thing that I could say is just kind of to prevent the spread of ROD. And this is basically like the information that you'll see in Rapid Ohia or rapidohiadeath.org or OISC, the Invasive Species Committee, to to prevent the spread of ROD, avoid injuring ohia. You don't want to weaken ohia. You don't want to form areas where ROD can actually come in and start infecting the plant. Don't move ohia wood or ohia parts. It's been found that ROD is actually airborne. We don't want to transfer all of this fungus to other places that haven't been infected yet. Don't transport ohia in our island. We're trying to prevent the spread of this species. Try and keep it contained as much as possible. You can clean your gear and tools, which includes shoes and clothes, before and after entering forests. This to help prevent, either bringing in ROD or taking out ROD from forests. And also wash your tires and undercarriages of your vehicle to remove all soil and mud. Yeah, we need these species. All of these species are good species to have. There is ecological factors, and there are also cultural values to these species. We should try and manage and protect these species. I guess with that, here are my references. Thank you.